Good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Fort Wayne Community School Board of Trustees. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we still are closed to the public and media. The meeting is available on cable Comcast 54, Frontier Channel 54. It's live streamed on the Fort Wayne Community School Facebook page and on our YouTube channel, LTV 2454 Fort Wayne Community Schools. Okay, so we begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call of members.
Good evening, Steve Corona from the 5th District.
Good evening, Glenna, Jehl, 2nd District.
Tom Smith, 3rd District.
Oh, and member at large.
Maria Norman, member at large.
And I'm Julie Hollingsworth, elected from the 1st District. And also with us is our clerk of the board, Janet Doherty. Good evening. Good evening. And our superintendent, Dr. Wendy Robinson.
Good evening.
Good evening. So we have some awards and recognitions for tonight. So the first is from the past school year, we have a video highlights of the 1920 school year with a photo taken each day, even after the pandemic hit on March 13th. So please enjoy the following video. That was pretty cool.
It started out so nice and I kind of got teary-eyed seeing the post March 13th.
Okay. So was that 180 pictures? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So now, we next have, so we do have some awards that we're going to do now. And the first is the Superintendent Student Advisory Council. Obviously, since we're closed to the public, we cannot, unfortunately, bring these students and their families here today. So we will recognize the senior members of the Superintendent Student Advisory Council by reading their names. The council was created in the 2004 school year to increase communication between the superintendent and students in the district. The council includes students from the district's 5 high schools and Fort Wayne Community School Career Academy at Anthus. The council's mission is to provide the superintendent with the student perspective and empower fellow students to improve the schools and community. This year's council was particularly effective in providing feedback and input to the superintendent. Tonight, we recognize the senior members of this prestigious group. From Wayne High School, Molly Bream. From Wayne New Tech, Jasmine Davis. From the Career Academy at Anthus, Nicole Hinault. From Northrop High School, Bailey McLean. From Snyder High School, Bailey Myers. From Southside High School, Will Pancake. From Northside High School, Abby Shearer. And from the Career Academy, Tasha So. We also want to thank the advisors who work with these students all year long. And they are Get Nichols, Faye Williams-Robbins, Kara Froning, Carlton Mabel, Matthew Schiebel, Krista Stockman, Bertha Harding-Young, Sheila Minns, and Jacqueline Smith. So, applause for the, hope you're watching at home.
If I could add something. Julie and I had a conversation, and one of the things we're going to try to do is to have some focused conversations, students, parents, about impact on what's happened, things that we need to think about and consider as we start trying to put together reentry. So we're trying to arrange a Zoom with this group because we think they're in the schools and they are used to coming up with ideas and giving their opinions. And so we'll start with that group. But I just wanted to tell you that's what we use them for, just to give us a wider view of the district. So we'll report back.
And if you can record that, then maybe we can watch it.
It'll be a Zoom, so we'll do that. We may invite you just to be a part of it.
Okay. So next, we recognize the Fort Wayne Community School Scholarship recipients. The 27 Fort Wayne Community School high school seniors were recently awarded scholarships by the Fort Wayne Community School Scholarship Committee. The committee is permanently chaired by Matt Henry. Other committee members are selected by Fort Wayne Community School board members. This year, the committee awarded the Bill Anthus, Charles Baker, Charles and Josephine Biedenwig, John and Marianne Chapman, Casey Harder, Grace Hogan, Noel Hupp, Lee family, Alice McPherson, Shanaz Shipchandler, Reagan Swinford Memorial, John Young, and Caroline Zwick scholarships. Students who receive these scholarships must be Fort Wayne Community School seniors who displayed financial need, scholarship, leadership, and initiative during their high school years. These awards range from $500 to $24,000. So I believe we have a video for this, correct? So that I do not need to read their names. Okay, so. Very nice. It doesn't take the place quite, of the reception that we normally have. It's always nice to meet those students and meet their families. But congratulations to all of them. That's a culmination of a excellent K-12 educational career, and we wish them all the best in their future endeavors. And don't forget about little old Fort Wayne Community Schools when you get out there in the big world. Did you do a quick calculation, Steve, and see how much money that was?
A good chunk of change there.
Will that video be posted on our website? Okay. Okay.
Great.
Very nice. Okay, next we have the Northside High School Spring 2020 recognitions. It's recommended that the board recognize the Northside High School students who have been awarded scholarships or won regional or national competitions. So the Lilly Endowment Community Scholarship, which is a 4-year full tuition scholarship to Indiana students who intend to work toward a baccalaureate degree at any accredited public or private college or university in Indiana. And that goes to Heda Mu. Also from Northside High School, we had a first place winner in Financial Literacy Regional JAG Conference. The Regional JAG Conference gives students from around the region the opportunity to compete and demonstrate their skills in a variety of employability-related categories. And that goes to Desmond McKenzie. And then also, we recognize the Northside Jazz Band, who advanced to the state finals and earned a gold rating with distinction. So congratulations to all those Northside High School winners. Next we have Northrop High School Spring 2020 recognitions. So first we have the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards. These recognize student achievement in visual arts and creative writing for 90 plus years. The Gold Key winners went on to national competition. Melanie Beckman, Silver Key in Drawing, Silver Key in Photography. Mackenzie Bennett, Gold Key in Printmaking. Meredith Colbert, Silver Key in Printmaking. Emily Hayden, Gold Key in Printmaking, Silver Key in Printmaking, Silver Key in Portfolio. Sarah Mosher, Silver Key in Photography and Silver Key in Photography Portfolio. Mackenzie Ewan, Silver Key in Painting and Silver Key in Printmaking. Diana Valencia, Silver Key in Painting. Alexis Vorg, Silver Key in Photography. Autumn Brubaker, Silver Key in Ceramics. And Dakota Mace, Silver Key in Painting. We also recognize the Northrop High School Marching Band. They earned a 7th place at the Scholastic A State Finals. And the director of that band is Rob Wilson. We also recognize the Northrop dance team. They made it to the Indiana Dance State Finals, but those ended up being canceled in March. Those members are Maggie Beecraft, Emma Black, Taylor Carr, Kiara Daniels, Rolanda Farmer, Emily Gardenstein, Adriana Hoff, Aubrey Kirby, Kiara King, Emily Kaida, Lynn Luke, Haley Miller, Hannah Razor, Shiona Robinson, Amelia Schemos, and Johnny Tran. So that is Northrop High School. Next we have Snyder High School. And these are Snyder High School students who were awarded scholarships. The Chick Evans Caddy Scholarships, awarded to caddies with 2 years of outstanding caddying service, as well as have an excellent high school academic record, and that goes to Hayden Michael Tipman. Also from Snyder High School, a Lilly Endowment Community Scholarship winner. This is a 4-year full tuition scholarship to Indiana students who intend to work toward a baccalaureate degree in any accredited public or private college or university in Indiana. And that goes to Iracema Hernandez Trillo. And next we have Southside High School. From Southside High School, a National Merit Scholarship Program finalist. That goes to Rachel Pickett. Also Scholastic Art and Writing Awards. Those go to Jenna Moore, Scholastic Art Gold and Silver Keys. Martin Bogois, 7 Scholastic Silver Medals. National Young Arts Finalist, Young Arts Gold Award, U.S. Presidential Scholar Nominee, U.S. Presidential Scholar Semifinalist, MICA Academic Honor Scholarship, Creative Vision Award, and the Da Vinci Award. Wow, what a talented young man. Also awards in ISMA Solo and Ensemble Music Festival. Sophia Horn earned a gold rating state finalist with distinction in trumpet. And Parker Offhouse, gold rating state finalist with distinction in French horn. So that concludes our recognitions for this meeting. So next on our agenda is the consent agenda. Those are items that come to us every meeting. They include approval of the minutes from the regular meeting May 18th and our special meeting that we had on May 26th. They include vouchers and payroll, vouchers, and then the personnel report. Was there a motion and a second?
Move approval of the items under the consent agenda.
Second.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Glenna. Okay, and members have seen all of these items included in your board packet. So do we have a motion? All those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Dr. Robinson, was there anything on the personnel report you wanted to highlight?
Not really, just one thing. Janet's on here. She's going to last a little longer than me, but her retirement is listed on the board report, and I just wanted to thank her. Behind any person getting anything done, you have people supporting you, and that's 24/7, so thank you so much.
Okay, so we have no old business, and that brings us to new business. And first, we have the electric work lease, and Ann, I believe you're going to take that one.
Okay, it is recommended that the board approve a 10-year lease of Building 31 at the Electric Works site. The lease is with EW West Campus Landlord, LLC, beginning August 1, 2022. The district has been investigating a new STEAM high school at Electric Works since 2017. The board approved the intent to lease in June 2019. The final lease is for 26,046 square feet of rentable space for a new STEAM high school. The base rent is $15 per square foot, which escalates by 2.25% per year, plus a tenant improvement budget of $7.01 per square foot. Building 31 was built in 1942 as an office building for the General Electric Company, which was growing rapidly to service America's defense efforts during World War II. The new STEAM high school will be located in that space and serve high school students from around the district. The school will provide a challenging curriculum that will meet the Indiana graduation pathways. Students will also benefit from relationships with businesses located within Electric Works. The team to develop the scope of the project included David Amon, Kathy Friend, Faye Robbins, and Darren Hess. Questions will be facilitated by Kathy Friend.
Okay, do we have a motion and a second?
Move approval.
Second.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Steve. Questions?
Just a couple of questions. This is the same building that we had the benefit of touring, a year or so ago, Kathy? And I see Jeff is here with the project. Is there an opportunity to ask Mr. Kingsbury just a question about where we're at with the project? And
Can you hear me? Okay. Jeff Kingsbury with Electric Works. Just a quick comment. As the son of a teacher and the father of a daughter who just graduated from high school during these crazy times, I just wanted to acknowledge the education heroes that are a part of Fort Wayne Community Schools, and have a great appreciation and respect and love for what you all do and have done during these challenging times. So let me just start with a thank you. The other thing I'll mention, Steve, and I appreciate the opportunity, we, as was mentioned in the comments, we've been having discussions about the project since 2017. Dr. Robinson was with us the very first day when we announced that we were intending to buy the property, with Governor Holcomb and Mayor Henry in attendance, and Dr. Robinson was right there and has been since the beginning. And most recently, this engagement that we've had with the entire leadership team has really led us to, I think, a really incredible opportunity, not only for Fort Wayne Community Schools, but for Fort Wayne and Northeast Indiana in general. And this idea of immersing young people and giving them mentorship opportunities, experiential learning on a campus with a workforce is really extraordinary, but it's also very rare. There's only a few examples around the country, some of which we've toured together with Fort Wayne Community Schools. So we're very excited about this opportunity, myself particular in that regard. And I'll say that with the support of Mayor Henry, the Redevelopment Commission, which Steve sits on, as well as the Capital Improvement Board, the county commissioners, and literally thousands of citizens throughout the region and the city, we're going to get the project done. We're right now planning to close on the financing in August and start construction in September. And while the pandemic has affected all of us, and the project is no exception, we've been able to continue to pursue our on-site construction activities, working with financial partners, and believe that we'll meet that timeline. So we're very excited to get going and then have this be open to students beginning in the autumn of 2022.
thank you.
I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
So there've been a number of delays as you struggle to pull this whole project together, because it's a mammoth project. What is the breakdown of like public funds versus private funds
Sure. That's a great question.
on this first phase?
On the first phase, the overall first phase is about 260 million or so, and about over 100 million of that is private capital, with the balance being a mix of federal historic tax credits, federal new markets tax credits, and that's equity that comes in through private sources, but those are tax credits that are made available. And then on the state side, there is state tax credits that are also sold to bring in private capital. And then we also have, thankfully, with the support of local government, about $62 million of funding from the county and the city. So of that 260 or so million, about 65 million of that is local. The rest is private, federal, and state. So we're able to, because of the historic buildings, leverage federal historic tax credits as well as state tax credits, which brings additional equity into the project. We had an announcement a couple weeks ago about an important milestone that we had on the project, which was very important, to bringing in about $34 million of private capital through the historic tax credit program.
Okay, and then you guys are also going to have a TIF district, is that correct?
Yes.
And how many years will it be before we, the district, will see any monies from that?
Well, the TIF district was established by the city to fund off-site infrastructure. So that's infrastructure that would be off the campus. And there's a fairly large area that goes down to Taylor, and up to the north of the campus, as well as the east and the west. So it's a fairly large area in which those TIF dollars can be deployed. And that's to support infrastructure work. As far as Indiana statutes around TIF have an adjustment that's built in that keeps the base year plus additional funds coming to other entities like the school districts, libraries, et cetera, and so on. I don't have the detailed analysis that was done by the city on that, so I can't speak to the exact numbers on it.
Okay.
I know that we wish Jeff and his partners well, but Kathy, should the project not realize its full potential, are there protections for the district with respect to getting out in the situation where it just doesn't come to fruition?
Yeah, there are some contingencies built into the lease that allow us to walk away, but that would be some years down the road. It's a 5-year, if they do not meet 50% occupancy on the leasable rentable space, and what was the percentage on the 33% on the common area. If that were the case after 5 years from the execution of this lease, then we could walk away from the lease and not, so we'd have a 5-year lease instead of a 10-year, although we are not actually going to start paying rent until the 2nd year anyhow. So it's my understanding that would be only 3 years left of that particular contingency. And there was another contingency if they are not able to get all of the funding that they need to get their project going, which is doubtful that would be the case, but that would be another way that we would be able to walk from the project. And what was the last one, David? Oh, yeah. And there's also a clause in the lease that prohibits them from having another K-12 school on the property. And so if they would happen to lease to another K-12 school, then we would not have to be there anymore.
Right.
So.
Thank you.
Okay.
And then how concerned are you about revenues being affected by COVID and in our state?
Yeah.
I mean, that's my biggest concern. I'm not opposed to a new facility and offering a new program. My concern is what happens taking on a brand new project that's fairly expensive when we don't need to, and we don't even know what the whole fallout is from all the businesses going out of business and revenues being down for our state, and then how long is it going to take our state to dig out of this hit that we took? So is that something we should be concerned about?
Well, I think, we've gotten this far with the project, and
No, I'm talking about our district.
I know. I mean, we've gotten this far in our planning of this, and we felt like it was important to continue to go forward so that we have something additional to offer to our students. You're right. I mean, we are going to have some tough decisions to make going forward. We don't know what they are yet. We don't know what the number is. We haven't been told what that is yet. But this was a priority, so we decided that we would go forward with it. So There will be other areas that we'll have to look at to make cuts when the time comes.
I would add that even though this is a new program, it's still a student-focused program. And a lot of the leasing and those types of things, we've outlined the funding for that. If there are major impacts on the district, it's going to be across the board. Missing the opportunity to be there at the beginning will put us so far behind, it kind of misses the purpose of us being there. But we would never, under any circumstances, exempt this project from any kind of budgeting that would have to happen across the district. So when we've had $300 million cuts in education, we've kind of gone through this before, but the benefit to the kids, I'll just say we don't exempt any program, any staffing when we have to make that kind of cut. So this would obviously, the new superintendent would have to do what we've done in the past, look at everything. And we always prioritize which things touch the kids first. So we don't know what's going to happen in the future. We have no way of knowing. But it would be on the table with everything else. And we would do the same kind of decision making we've had to do in the past when we've had cuts.
Can you just tell me again what year we're going to start paying the rent? I mean, so we're not going to be out any money this year or next year?
August of '22 will be the first time we pay
So
rent.
by then, we'll have a better idea.
Yeah, we will definitely have a better idea.
And then how many of the people who are our partners in this whole project have begun their construction and are underway?
In terms of the tenants?
Yes.
Yeah,
The other
we-
partners that you've got
Yeah,
involved in
so we've been doing on-site restoration and remediation to clean up the site. So that work has been going. We won't start full construction until we close on all of the financing, which happens at once, which is scheduled for August. And then we would start construction in September. It's about a 2-year construction period, which is why Kathy indicated we would have the STEAM school open in August of '22. But as far as the other tenants that you mentioned, we're over 50% pre-leased. Many of you know, and Julie was gracious enough to attend the announcement of Do It Best Corporation as our significant anchor tenant. And even despite some of the challenges with the pandemic, I've only had one tenant that has decided not to move forward at this point with their lease commitment. So feel very good about the companies and the organizations that want to be a part of this. And I'm excited about that as much for the project, but also for the partnership opportunities it presents for Fort Wayne Community Schools and others like Indiana Tech and Indiana University who are also going to be there.
Well, this is an exciting project, and as we move closer to changing standards and expectations for students, more work-based learning opportunities, this really will allow those students from our district to hopefully spend some time with some of the business partners, Do It Best, and others. Hopefully we get this project across the finish line, and in a couple of years, hopefully things have settled down. We know what our money stream is like, and we're able to be a part of this exciting project.
Any other questions, comments? I mean, let me just ask one follow-up, Kathy, is that Glenna brought up with economic uncertainty. Does this lease absolutely commit us to move into the building on, in August 2022 and start paying rent?
Yeah, yes, it does.
Okay. Okay. And when do we start renovation of Building 31?
Darren is working now with the developers to, and you have renderings in your packets that were provided. that show what that would look like, and that's part of the 701 per square foot piece of the equation. So do you have a start date? Fall of?
This fall?
This fall. So we have plenty of time to get the facility right the way we want it. So then we'll have access to it in July of 2022 so that we can move furniture in and get staff in there and prepared for that school year.
Okay.
I'll just mention as well, just to build on what Kathy said, since this is really a public-private partnership, the private sector or the development team will be putting out that capital first for the tenant improvements and to make the school as it's been envisioned by the team. To Glenna's point about sort of risk and kind of where we are economically and knowing that there's going to be some challenges relative to state revenues, we're bearing that risk up front in terms of putting that capital out first. I'll also mention, when I talked a little bit about the tax credits, we're able to take those tax credits from federal and state sources and use that to reduce the overall cost of the project ultimately to the tenants. So about $5.7 million of tax credits benefits directly to this project, the STEAM school. So,
Could I ask one last question? You said that if the cost of the renovations go down for some reason, then the rent would be reduced? At least that was somewhere in our packet.
oh, did you want me to?
It just, the 701 was an estimate for the construction, so if it would happen to come in lower than the estimate that was provided, then our rent would be reduced by that amount. So this is something that Darren's going to be particularly watchful of to make sure that, that the project stays within the budget.
Okay. Well, it is, I mean, I agree with Steve. It is a great opportunity but not only our students, but students throughout Allen County, because this will operate on a similar model to Anthus, correct? That, you know, any students at least in Allen County, I know, does that include our Anthus?
No.
Is that
No, this school will be a Fort Wayne Community School, and it will be like, it'll operate sort of like a magnet school where there'd be a lottery process to be a part of the school. So.
Oh, I was on, okay.
At one time, you're right, there was a discussion.
That was the original
Yes.
discussion.
Yeah, there was a discussion about that. I think ultimately we decided we wanted to make sure that the students that benefited from this were FWCS students, and so.
Okay.
So the plan is to have a lottery system to be able to participate in the school. So.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it's juniors and.
Well, Julie, part of that changed
Yes,
because.
and it's
the other
only juniors
districts
and seniors that would be, that would participate in the school.
Okay.
But I think we need to further explain that, because you were absolutely correct. Since we started this conversation, East Allen has done quite a bit of renovating. Homestead is now doing renovating, and Carroll is looking at renovating. And one of the conversations that we're having internally to address what happens if there are financial issues, there will be financial issues for the whole state going forward, is to not try to replicate programs in 5 high schools and this place. So part of the hesitation for the other ones, they're in the middle of redesigning their high schools. But what our intent would be is that as this builds, there would be other children who would want to come to it. But right now, every single school district's in the same situation.
Okay.
Trying to figure out, you know, East Allen, for all intents and purposes, is almost rebuilding a voc center. So we're having the same kind of conversations to them, but our commitment to this board and what we have to make sure that the next superintendent also follows through with, we will be in trouble if we try to replicate over at this site what's at Anthus. And then let every single high school have programs that should be either at Anthus or here. So that's a part of work we started a couple of years ago, trying not to replicate, because that costs money. So we're trying to streamline where do kids go to get what services, And we need to get that straight internally first before we try to figure out how to have everybody else do it. Because that's an issue we have to address. All of us do, every district.
And what is the capacity of this building 31? How many students will it contain?
We are looking at 300 students, 150 in the morning, 150 in the afternoon. You know, as all the schools are struggling to find out how they're going to meet these graduation pathways, we already have some schools calling us now because of the state has decided we cannot no longer pay for core classes at Anthus, the math, social studies, science, that kind of thing. And we right now have some schools that are saying, but our kids schedule-wise can't figure it out at Southwest or Northwest, and they're wanting to know if they can pay for that additional day. So I could see others wanting to do that with this project as well, and having kids come and other school districts actually paying us for their kids to be able to be part of this.
Well, but if we only can handle 150 students at a time, it's not going to matter if they want to pay or not. Will it?
Well,
Are
we
you
can,
going to have room to expand? Do you have
Right.
options on other buildings or something?
yeah, there's a lot of conversations out there around what we do even with an Anthus and how we expand those programs. And so we look at this as a beginning point, and then how we expand this moving forward.
But we're not interested in buying another building.
We're not even buying this.
Right. We're interested in leasing this building and keeping the program small enough, it's manageable enough, and the kids can get the experiences they need. Because the other part of why it's small is if you're going to have an internship, you can't send 1,000 kids over there because you don't have people to work with the kids. So the design of the program is intended for it to be specialized and small enough that the kids are going to actually get that work experience with the partners that are there. So it's not intended to be a large school. Just like we kept New Tech at a manageable size too, or else you can't really deliver the program if you get too many kids in it.
I guess we're not having a PowerPoint about this program tonight. We had the PowerPoint in our packet. Will that come at a different time?
I think part of what COVID kind of changed a lot of plans. One of the things we intended to do is have a whole session on it and talk about it. I think we need to figure out how, with Jen and with Krista, how you advertise it, what you put on the website. So there would obviously need to be more conversation because you're going to need to attract parents and kids to it. So in the time we have, no, there's not one tonight, but obviously there has to be. We just tried to show you some of the kinds of conversations we need to have, and then we'll have a full-fledged as we're trying to get parents and kids,
Right.
and people in the schools to understand, and people in the community to understand why they need to be interested in it. So,
And maybe when it's closer to the date is more
Right.
appropriate anyway, because we'll
Right.
forget in 2 years. So.
see, we're not going till 2022, which is kind of the delay. There's quite a gap there.
Is there some reason why we have to sign the lease at this point in time? Is it because we promised to do so in the past and now our deadline is up? Or is it something that the developer needs in order to get financing? Or is it, is it a building schedule that we have to start now? How is that?
There's a couple things driving the timeline, Glenna. One is that we're getting lease commitments, which are important to the overall financing of the project, including to satisfy the city of Fort Wayne. The second is because we've got a 2-year construction cycle to deliver this campus, because it's going to be developed at one time. So it's not just the school that we'll be delivering, it's the amenities and all the other spaces that the school is going to be integrated and a part of. So we plan to start construction on that in September, backing up from that, close on the financing, and then need to have the lease agreements in place. Is that helpful?
And part of it is people won't continue to invest if nobody commits to it. So that's been the issue all along. So to get people to support it, you have to have people commit. And most of the people in the community and business people we've talked to like the idea that we have a presence. Because that's how you keep this going, is you get kids connected to the kinds of businesses there and the internships. So it is. It's just either we're in or we're out, and we're not a separate piece. So we're either moving with everybody else, or we're not, which is why pretty much we're here tonight, so that we know what commitment we're making. But the fact that it's not starting till 2022 gives some time. But either we're making a commitment or we're not, because they have to know how to move forward. And they are actually counting, and others are counting on us to be there.
Well, and the concept of the school does pretty much go hand in hand with the graduation pathways, is that, you know, hopefully these pathways that we create at Electric Works will be certified by the state. They will be things that we create, and opportunities for students to have internships and take advantage of partnerships with the, not only the businesses that are there, but the higher education facilities that are there. And my understanding is Indiana Tech, I believe, is involved, and is there one other, Jeff?
They wanted to kind of cover. And there's a whole Agranova. There's state agencies that are involved also, so.
So we have already begun conversations with Indiana Tech, even when we first started this with Huntington. Even looking at professors and residents. So I know IU is going to be on the property as well. We've also, as Dr. Robinson mentioned, have made a connection with AgriNovus, which is a statewide initiative around urban farming. And then we have begun to have conversations with Purdue Fort Wayne about its music technology school that's on Sweetwater's campus. One of the things that Mr. Sirac has promised is that people who graduate from that school get a job there. And so we're connecting our music program to that music program so that they can matriculate through and then be able to work here. You know, when we first started this, there were a lot of conversations about who he hired and the fact that he had to go outside the Fort Wayne community. This allows our students here in Fort Wayne the opportunity to gain that knowledge and be able to get a job there.
Okay.
Yep, all right.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thanks. Thanks, Jeff, for being here and for answering our questions. So all those in favor of approving the lease signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Madam President, I'd like to abstain at this time from voting on this personally.
Okay.
And
So-
partly because I really feel guilty that we're conducting new business without Jordan Levemoff's seat being filled. We moved ahead with hiring a new superintendent, and I felt that was a very essential thing to do in a timely way. But now that we are holding regular board meetings and conducting new business, I really feel like it's time that we fill that slot, because that segment of our district should be represented and have a voice in these big decisions that we're taking. And so I'm going to be abstaining from new business on an ongoing basis until we have a plan of some sort to move forward with.
And we've talked, and we have talked about that. You know, we do have a plan going forward, and in fact, we will be, it's my intention to make that plan public at our next meeting, and then we will get the process, you know, begin that process of filling that seat.
Good to know.
Okay, so next, Tom, we have temporary interfund loans.
Thank you. It is recommended that the board approve all inter-fund loans necessary to eliminate deficits in certain funds of the corporation as of June 30th of this year. Cash deficits in funds of the corporation are not allowed at the end of a fiscal year. Deficits in property tax supported funds could occur if the distribution of property taxes from Allen County is short of expectations. Normal timing differences between revenue and expenditures could cause temporary deficits. State statute allows temporary transfers between funds if certain requirements are met. The treasurer will make all necessary transfers and report the loans to the board.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Do we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Maria. Questions? This is something we do every year, right, Kathy? Just to make sure that we don't have any deficits in any accounts. Okay. All those in favor of approval signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
I'm going to
One abstention. Okay, now we have a bid recommendation for food and beverages. Glenna?
Okay, it is recommended that an award be made to the lowest responsible and responsive bidders meeting specifications and quality standards for our food and beverages contracts. So the companies are Commercial Food Service of Indianapolis at $611,097.95. Peterson Farm Fresh Inc. from Shelby, Michigan for $27,648. Gordon Food Service out of Grand Rapids, Michigan for $1,666,751.06. Stan's Food Service Inc. out of South Bend, Indiana for $2,195,413.51 for a total of $4,500,910.52 for the food portion of our bids. And then in the beverages, they were awarded to Commercial Food Service of Indianapolis for $225,561.50. Coca-Cola Bottling Company out of Fort Wayne is the winner at $19,575. Gordon Food Service out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, again, is a winner at $307,343. And Stan's Food Service, again, from South Bend, Indiana, at $228,670, bringing the beverage total to $781,149.50. The food portion of the bid is for items to be used in the school lunch program at the Nutrition Process Center and the 17 cooking kitchens from August 1, 2020 through July 31, 2021. The bid includes items such as fruits, vegetables, meat, and staples such as flour, sugar, and salt. The beverage portion of the bid is for bottled water and juice. Some items were withdrawn from the bid because of menu changes and the receipt of government commodities or the absence of an accepted bid. So, do we have a... And a comparison of prices by item is on file in the purchasing services and may be reviewed upon request. Bids were mailed to 23 prospective bidders. 4 responded to the food portion and 4 are recommended for some portion of the bid. 6 responded to the beverage portion and 4 are recommended for some portion of the bid. Keurig Dr. Pepper was rejected from the beverage bid for failure to include a bid bond, and Prairie Farms decided to withdraw their submittal. And if there are any questions, please address them to Candace Hager, who's the Director of Nutrition Services.
Okay, thanks, Glenna. Do we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, thanks, Tom. Thanks, Steve. Any questions? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. One abstention. You know, Candace, since you're here, could you just give us a little update? Have we now moved from our school feeding time to our summer feeding time? And kind of what does that look like?
Yes, ma'am. June 1st started summer feeding. We were summer feeding during school time, but now we are actually in summer feeding mode through the month of June and July. So it went from June 1st to July 31st.
Okay.
That will give us a week, not much time, but a week before school starts to gear up for the new school year. We started out with our numbers blazing, obviously, because kids were displaced and they needed to be fed. And as time went by, they lowered. Now, since people are going back to work, they've just taken a little bit of a hit. And I expect that to continue to happen as more and more people go back to work and are unable to get their children there for lunch. But we're still going strong.
Good. Well, thanks to you and, your whole staff, and I know that we've had volunteers that helped with that whole meal process too.
Absolutely.
But thank you to you and your staff for that.
Well, it wasn't me. It's all my staff. I have a great crew.
Leadership matters. Thank you.
I always say I'm the least important person there because they actually do the work.
Thank you. Okay, next we've got a bid recommendation for milk. Maria?
It is recommended that an award be made to the most responsible and responsive bidder meeting specifications, quality standards, and complete dairy service. The bid is awarded based on 3 categories of half-pint containers, which include 1% white, fat-free chocolate, and fat-free strawberry milk. Dairy Farmers of America out of Huntington, Indiana, with a total of $1,146,500 was the lowest bid. You'll see there that there's a bid, an additional bid, but was a little bit higher. Some additional information: half pints of milks estimated at $5.7 million or $5.7 million annually represent about 90% of total dairy purchases for 58 locations, including our schools and 6 private schools. Other dairy items such as yogurt, cottage cheese, and large units of milk will also be provided and are in addition to the cost above. The bid is for 1-year contract with the option to renew. Invitations to bid were mailed to 2 prospective bidders, with both responding. The price per half pint in this bid is approximately 5.01% increase when compared to the current contract pricing. And Candace is still here to answer any questions that we may have.
Thanks, Maria. Do we have a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Steve. Any questions? I take it chocolate milk is the most popular? Okay. All right. That's what it appears on here. Okay. All those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? 1 extension. Abstention. Okay, next we have the bid recommendation for food service papers and supplies. Steve?
Thank you, Julie. It's recommended that an award be made to the lowest responsible.
Oh, you know what?
What?
Have you seen the amended version?
Yes.
They handed it
Okay,
out.
okay. Just want to make sure.
Thank you. It is recommended that an award be made to the lowest responsible and responsive bidders meeting specifications and quality standards. There are 3 companies recommended for consideration this evening. Acorn Distributors from Indianapolis. The new amount is $154,860.94. Stan's Food Services from South Bend, $3,135.55. And Gordon Food Service out of Grand Rapids, $38,326.02. Total $196,322.51. That is the recommendation. Some additional information about this recommendation. This bid is for cafeteria papers and supplies, such as bags, aprons, trays, and paper products that will be used at the Nutrition Process Center. Comparison of prices on file in purchasing, and we can review them, or any member of the public can do that as well. Invitations to bid were mailed to 6 prospective bidders, and we had these 3 responding. That's the recommendation before us.
Do we have a motion and a second?
Move for approval.
Second.
Thanks, Maria. Thanks, Steve. Questions? All those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? One abstention. Okay, next we have the Bill Anthus Center and Automotive Center Security Camera System replacement. It's recommended that the board approve the following purchase for the replacement of the security camera system at the Bill Anthus Center and Automotive Center. This is from Presidio Network Solutions for $209,078.82. The project consists of the replacement and upgrade of the existing analog security camera system with a new Internet Protocol security camera system. The new IP security cameras will integrate with the new Johnson Control Incorporated intrusion detection and access control security system. In addition, the cameras must integrate with our existing IP security camera video management system. Presidio Network Solutions is the single source integrator vendor for this work in our area. Program is within the program, this project is within the program budget, which is identified in the capital projects plan and funded from the operations fund. And questions will be addressed by Director of Security, Mike Manuel. We have a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks. Maria? Questions?
Yeah, Mike, do we have a timeline? I didn't see like when this work will start and finish.
The start could be anywhere within the next 2 or 3 weeks for this company, and we should, by the end of the summer, we should have both buildings up and running on the new system.
Great, okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. All those in favor of approval signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? One abstention, so that's 4-0. 2 abstentions. 1 abstention. Okay. Next we have the purchase of Securely Safety Cloud. It's recommended that the board approve the purchase of the Securely Safety Cloud filtering and monitoring service from Securely of Charlotte, North Carolina for $181,425. Safety Cloud is a web filtering and content monitoring service that will be used on all student devices. This service meets the Children's Internet Protection Act CIPA requirements and provides protection for devices while at home and at school. This service will also monitor student email and content stored on Google Drive and OneDrive. If improper access or content is detected, the responsible school administrators will be notified. This is a 3-year contract that will be paid in 3 annual payments of $60,475 each from the operations fund. Fort Wayne Community Schools was able to secure pricing that was 40% below PEPPM cooperative purchasing contract pricing. Indiana law does not require public bidding for purchases that are below competitively bid contracts from national cooperative purchasing entities such as PEPPM. Questions will be addressed by Jack Bird, Director of Technology. Do we have a motion and a second?
Move for approval.
Second.
Thanks, Maria. Thanks, Steve. Questions?
Yeah, Jack, should we have another surge in COVID, does this make us a little bit safer in the instance that our students are at home for several weeks, so we're making sure that what they're doing is safe on their devices?
It does. In fact, we piloted this time on the computers that we sent home with the seniors.
Great, okay. And would we be surprised, like, are students more good than bad?
Our students are very good kids.
Good. Good to know.
Did the students know there was monitoring software on those devices that we gave them?
I'm sure they did.
But this is preparing us to go one-to-one
Correct.
and preparing us to allow students to take home devices, correct?
That is correct.
And is this for laptops only?
No, it is for
iPads also?
iPads, and we are going to do a Chromebook pilot this coming year. It's for Chromebooks as well.
Okay, okay, because it's my understanding that we're going to have iPads for elementary school students and then
K2.
laptops for secondary students, is that correct?
Right now, we are one-to-one K2 iPads and one-to-one laptop for 3.5, and then this year will be one-to-one laptop 6.12.
Okay, so K through 2 is iPads,
Correct.
pre-K or K?
K.
K through 2?
Yes.
Okay, okay, very good. Any other questions? Okay, thanks. All those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, and one abstention. Okay, next we have the ratification of Fort Wayne Classified Association and Fort Wayne Nurse Association contracts. It's recommended that the board ratify revisions to the collective bargaining agreements and approve wage and salary increases for employees represented by the Fort Wayne Classified Association and Fort Wayne Nurse Association. The Fort Wayne Classified Association and the Fort Wayne Nurse Association will receive 1.5% wage or salary increases for the 2021 school year. Both contracts are for a duration of 2 years and contain reopeners to bargain wages for the 21-22 school year, when we'll have a better idea of the economic conditions affecting school finances. Fort Wayne Community Schools made revisions to keep contract language and organization uniform throughout the district and to reflect current employee relations practices. Questions will be addressed by Charles Kamick Jr., Chief Operations Officer. Do we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Ann. Questions? Okay, all those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm staying.
Abstaining on raises?
I'm abstaining on new business. That
Okay.
was the point.
And that brings us to the close of our meeting. So, we don't have any reports for tonight's meeting. So we next meet on Monday, June 22nd. And that just leaves us with board member comments. Steve?
3 things this evening. First of all, I had the opportunity to attend the Wayne and Southside High School graduation ceremonies and thought that they were a blast. And I know that there were, prior to that, concerns and comments from a couple of board members who wanted their kids to walk the stage, receive the diploma. And I'd be real curious to see what the reaction is from students and parents, because I just felt that what we did was joyful and more emotional. I saw kids smiling, parents crying, people having a great time. And I'll be real honest, I'm not sure how we're going to get people back inside the Coliseum next year. But I want to hear from what parents felt. But I just thought that this really captured it. And, you know, sometimes things change and we have to let go. And this may be something to let go of and move into a new era. So I thought it was great. I really did, and I think there's other things that we can build upon that if, in fact, we go this direction next year. Secondly, Janet Doherty, thank you for your service to this board, in addition to your work with the superintendent. The part of your job that we do not see, for which you must be given great credit for, are all those phone calls that come in to the superintendent's office. And I know that a lot of them may not be pleasant, but I know that you handle those with the appropriate decor and restraint at times, and delivered a professional job for this district. So we thank you, best wishes to you in whatever you're going to do in your encore life and years. And finally, to my partner to the left, happy anniversary to Glenna and her husband. And I would make sure that your son treats you to a very expensive dinner this evening. So, happy anniversary.
Thank you, thank you. So, I also had the privilege of attending a graduation ceremony at Northside. And let me tell you, it was every bit as exciting and joyous as Steve had described it. It was so much fun to see the way families express their joy and their pride with their graduates' accomplishments. And it was hard because we were standing close enough and we could see the parents shed some tears, and oftentimes a graduate would get all choked up. But there was one statistic that really surprised me, and that was that at Northside they had something like 80 graduates who were the first person in their family to get a high school diploma. Wow. And so that just shows you that we really serve a diverse population out there, and we are making a difference. And so congratulations to all the graduates, not just at Northside. It was a joy. It's one of my favorite things to do, is to watch those students get their diplomas after all these years of hard work. The second thing that I want to say is thank you to the city of Fort Wayne, who supported us in our referendum. Darren and your team, you guys did a fabulous job again, not only doing all the renovations and earning the trust of the public, but also having people out there, all day long to promote our cause. And it was just kind of fun to be out there with some of those workers, and when they had to take off, I would pick up their sign and stand in the gap, and it was an interesting day. So again, hats off to you. Congratulations at getting overwhelming support from the city of Fort Wayne.
I was at the Snyder graduation, and it was exciting and wonderful. And I did, Steve, talk to a number of the parents after that, and a lot of them said they would do this again. They'd rather have that than go to the Coliseum. Yeah. So I just thought that was, good. And it was great to see all the cars decorated. That was a lot of fun. You could tell the family and the graduates took pride in that. I'd like to just make a comment or two. There was an article in the Sunday's paper that said the fall semester may see fewer students. And I've read a lot of other articles saying that there may be a decrease in the number of teachers wanting to come back to school. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, as one of the surveys referred to here said maybe as many as 30% of the parents aren't going to want their kids back in the traditional public schools. I don't know if that's correct or not. And I don't know if I've read that maybe 20% of some teachers' schools are not wanting to come back. My question to you, Wendy, or anybody is, are we starting now to see any signs of a drop in enrollment or are teachers not coming back? Is any of that showing up?
We started online registration and Fake and Share what's happened so far.
If there's a drop, we're not seeing it.
You've
It
not
sounds
seen
like
it.
parents are really trying to get their kids back in school. We are inundated with phone calls. How do I get my kid registered? We have over 5,000 families that have already registered. And every day, as a matter of fact, we have plans that we'll be talking about tomorrow in Cabinet about how we can do on-site registration around FACE to have parents have an opportunity to come there and make sure that we're honoring the social distancing and all of those kinds of things. But we are not seeing parents calling afraid. They are saying where can I register? Need to get my kid back in school.
That's great news.
Thanks, Tom. Ann?
I got to attend Wayne, Northside, and Snyder's graduation, and it was very emotional, especially at Northside. Kathy, friend, was standing next to me, and when those kids would come by, I mean, some of them were just in tears, and then we started crying because it was just so emotional. And you don't, part of it could be because they haven't seen these teachers for like 3 months, and they finally get to see them. And what was so cool about this than the regular graduation was that all those teachers were just lined up cheering them on, and it was just a really, really neat situation. It was. The kids got to do things that they normally don't get to do, like seeing all their teachers in one location. I know the teachers go to graduation, but the chance of seeing them for a student is probably slim to none in the Coliseum. A lot of them decorated the tops of their caps, so that was exciting for them. And then you mentioned the decoration of the cars. We even saw some trolleys go through. I know there was one at Wayne and there was one at Snyder, and it was so huge they had to lift up the canopy so it could go under and like I think someone mentioned that the parents' comments, if you've watched Facebook, a lot of the parents were very excited and about the new graduation style this year, and so I know we've got a lot of positive feedback already about that. But I just wanted to also thank the principals and everybody else who helped organize. I mean, that's a long time, a commitment for them, 3 hours on a Saturday in heat for some of them. And just the organization of all that. I know that they handed out a lot more than just a diploma. They had pictures and they had awards from probably 3 or 4 different awards programs that would have gone on. Just to get that all organized, and it was actually really neat to see, like, wow, look at that, this is going so smoothly, because the car would start at one end and then they figure out who that was, and then by the time they got to where they were supposed to go, their name was announced and everything was given to them, and it just went really smoothly. So they did a great job of putting it all together and the logistics of the entire event. So thank you to everybody who helped organize that. And Janet, I knew you were retiring, but I was excited to see that you're going to stay till August to help our new person maybe get situated. So thank you for doing that.
Maria?
Well, like everyone mentioned, I was able to attend graduation at Wayne and Northrop and where was I? Oh, Southside, thank you, and Southside. So they were great. And like Steve mentioned, I would really like to get some parent feedback. I know initially parents were really disappointed, as we were. Graduation is one of my favorite things. They were really bummed that they weren't going to get to walk across the stage, but like all the other comments, I saw so many parents crying and students were very emotional, and like Ann said, I think that they really embraced being able to have some freedoms. I saw lots of people hanging out of sunroofs. There was a float, several limousines, a Lamborghini. So there was a lot of flair and a lot of style. And I was really pleased that so many families embraced the experience, because I was really kind of skeptical, like, how is this going to be embraced? Will it be embraced? Will it be as meaningful as graduation at the Coliseum? And I think it was just so much more fun. And like Stephen and Glenna mentioned, there was a lot of joy and there was noise and honking and it was just a range of emotion all the way from, cheering and honking and being happy to being sad. I think that some of it, like Ann mentioned, was that some of the students hadn't seen their staff members in such a long time. And the staff members were so cute. I mean, there were staff members chasing down cars like, oh, that's that student. I need to go say hi to them. And they're running after cars and tapping on windows, and so it was just really great to see, and I'd really love to hear some comments from parents as to whether or not this is a new a new normal for us. I don't know. And like Glenna mentioned, I just wanted to thank Fort Wayne for coming out on Tuesday and all of those people that sent in absentee ballots, and thank Darren and Heather for all of the time that they spent not only in the construction, but they spent hours doing presentations all over the city, so educating voters within our community, the benefits to updating our buildings. And also, just to piggyback off of Ann, thank you to the staff members. Adam Swinford got in thousands of steps on Saturday. He met people on one side of a tent and then the other side of the tent. So he literally was just walking back and forth for 2 hours in the heat. And it was just, like Ann mentioned, there were certificates. Laptops were returned. Jack, you'll probably get some laptops. So it was like an exchange of things. Like, here's your laptop, give me my diploma, kind of thing. So, yeah, I can't even imagine putting all that stuff together. They were giving them their programs and their diplomas and plaques and, signs and all kinds of stuff. So I can't even imagine orchestrating all of those awards, and then they're just, handing them to the students like, they were all ready. So the hours that were put into that to make sure that everything went smooth was just, so thank you to those staffs and those principals. Thank you for showing our students and families love. So it was great. I was so glad to be a part of it.
Dr. Robinson?
You can't see me smiling behind my mask. I take it off. One of the things that is difficult in a district this large and with this diversity is everyone has a better idea than yours. And the reason the graduations worked is that we put it in the hands of the people who know the kids. So one of the things that becomes difficult is we're trying to now figure out a re-entry plan, which none of us are sleeping. We have guidance from the state, and the state is, you figure it out, because I don't want to be responsible for what happens. But I think the planning of the graduations is an example of how the district approaches things. All right, tune out everything. What's in the best interest of the kids? And then who are the people that know? Counselors, people that you never really see. This is their everyday, and you were a counselor, this is their everyday life. So it went well because they have systems already, but it really worked because they know their kids. And the fun and the joy, I don't know if you recognize elementary principals were there, the middle school people. It became a family event because we were tuning out everything and talked about what would be the most important thing and what memories do we want the kids to have. We had people fussing about who was paying for gowns and all that other stuff. We have 80 kids who have never had anybody graduate. We were not going to have anybody not a part of it. And what was so fabulous is staffs filled in the gaps. So I'm so glad that you got to see what I see every day. And none of those ceremonies were like, forget we started off with some kind of plan, and then you just said go for it. Because none of them, it was tailored to the school. But I want to get into the reentry plan just a little bit. Tomorrow we've got, I thought it was at 2, but it's at 10. It's the webinar with the state school superintendent. And one of the things we're trying to do, we've been planning reentry since we left in March. And Julie and I were having a conversation today. The real thing that you're going to have to help the community understand, whatever we plan, it'll change by the time we get to the date. Because there's so much unknown. But one of the things that we're trying to figure out, we'll have some committees, we'll have people in charge, we'll have the new superintendent with, here's what we have for you, and here's all the ways we may have to adjust this. But it is massive. It is absolutely massive. So one of the things we're doing right now is trying to figure out how are we going to connect with kids if school is delayed? Because we can't and don't want to have another gap in learning. So just understand, we're working real hard to try to make some sense of that. Want to remind you also of Thursday, and part of Thursday is a session with the board where we're going to try to lay out the systems we put in place. Because I think you'll see when we talk about the systems we have in place, how we plan the graduation. So our intent is not to talk you to death. It's going to take us about an hour, hour and a half. But when you leave, you'll have some idea of what systems we put in place And then our next step is to meet with Dr. Daniels and take him through all of that so that he can decide what he's going to do with it. So first, the board needs to know what it is that we laid out. And then the next step will be working with Dr. Daniels. But this is a small team, but I can't think of anything over the last couple of decades that when we had a challenge, we didn't meet it. And I'm not sure if I will ever Zoom again, ever. Ever. When I retire. But it has been a godsend. And we've been Zooming. Sometimes we almost get giddy because it's 8 or 9 hours that we're kind of Zooming. But what has also happened is we've done it with administrators. We've gotten other people, directors and managers on the Zoom. And it's really kind of made sure that people didn't lose track of what the work was. So on Thursday, we're going to try to explain all of that to you, so please be patient with us. But thank you for your support. And I know the graduation part was just, it's always the highlight of the year. And if we can say one thing, those kids left happy.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
And isn't that worth anything we had to deal with, that they left happy and proud of what they had accomplished? So thank you for being there.
Thank you. Yeah, and I attended Northrop's graduation, and everyone was correct. I mean, it was joyful, it was fun, it was so creative, it was emotional. Parents were right there with their students, which I think made it even more meaningful for them. And thank you to all of our high school staffs. You know, they did a lot of work to put together a really meaningful and joyous ceremony for students and their parents. There's also, they're going to be shown on YouTube, am I correct? Okay, and there's a schedule. Okay, there's a schedule on our website for those to be shown here at the end, toward the end of the month, am I right? June 22nd and on? Okay. So, you know, you'll be able to watch yourself on YouTube. But, you know, again, it was a fun experience. And certainly it will be memorable for those students and their families. I also want to thank the Fort Wayne community for once again supporting our referendum. I'm just so grateful and thankful to live in a community that supports public education. You won't hear from us for a while. There's not another one coming. This one provides us with a lot of work to do. But I want to thank Kathy, and Heather and Darren and their staff for all of their work. The work continued, and our volunteers. The work continued even while school was shut down to get the word out about the referendum and answer questions about the referendum and things like that. So it just, I mean, I already appreciated our community from the first two, but it was just, you know, in such an uncertain time and time of unrest, it was just really heartening to see that it was actually approved by the greatest margin we've had yet. And I was just overwhelmed. I do want to make one other comment, and that's that you know, before every meeting, we say the Pledge of Allegiance. Our students in our schools say the pledge probably 2 or 3 times a week, and it ends with the words, "with liberty and justice for all." And we say those words even though we know they aren't true. Like the rest of my colleagues and everyone in the room, I was, of course, sickened by the horrifying video of George Floyd and his casual murder over a nearly 9-minute span by a police officer while other police officers stood by. I believe Black Lives Matter. I also believe that we have a great partnership between Fort Wayne Community Schools and the Fort Wayne Police Department. But we have to be honest with ourselves in this country. We have a policing problem. And I know that I have privilege. I can go where I want. I can do what I want, and no one's going to stop me or question me or harass me. And I was born with that privilege. And I don't have all the answers, but I do know that those of us with privilege need to be part of the solution. We need to call on our leaders to take action on police reform. We need to call out racism where we see it at every opportunity, and we have to be part of the change. I've been heartened by the protests across our country, the peaceful protests in places in our state that you would never imagine. And that makes me feel that maybe this time is different. But like I said, we have to maintain the conversation and be part of the change. So with that, unless anyone else has a comment, anyone wish to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Steve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, we're adjourned.